Welcome to Doors to Hope and Healing, an inside look at the many facets of work that is happening at the Department of Children and Families, between our staff, the families we serve, and our community partners. My name is Jaqueline Ford. I have had the honor of working for the department for almost 30 years. And although I may be familiar with many of the topics we bring to you, I have invited experts in those fields to help us dispel the myths and misconceptions that can often be barriers to our work. Join us as we open our doors and invite you to have a seat at our table. Marcia, thank you so much for being on the show Doors to Hope and Healing today. You're an old dear friend of
Yes.
mine. We've been with the department together for almost the exact same amount of time, 32 years.
Yes.
And it's such a pleasure to have you here and to talk about adoptions, which it's Adoption Awareness Month, and it's always one of my most favorite times of the year because it really celebrates children in permanency and families growing and providing that love to our kids. But before we get started, can you just talk about who you are and about your career with the department?
Sure. My name is Marcia Anderson, and I am a social work supervisor, and I supervise subsidized adoption and guardianship families who are subsidized families. And also I supervise the post-adopt college program as well as our faith-based initiative.
Okay. And how do you like this role that you have with the department?
I absolutely enjoy what I'm doing right now, and I feel like when I look back at the years that I've been here and what I've learned over the years to where I am now, it's just coming full circle because a lot of what I've learned has been a foundation to what I'm doing right now. So I look at everything as being, it's all very good. And where I feel right now, I feel comfortable. I really enjoy my unit, my supervisor. Everything is really, really good. So,
well, good. Well, you have a wealth of experience that you're bringing. And congratulations is in order because you have finished your PhD.
Oh my goodness! Thank you.
So I said before we were offset, we're going to call you Dr. Anderson, which sounds so important, but you are important. And
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
So talk to me about Adoption Month. And I know it's a special time to recognize families and call attention to the need that we have. Why is this month so significant for DCF and for the community?
So National Adoption Day is this Friday, the 22nd, and Adoption Month is extremely important as far as all the children who are in our care, who are being adopted. They now have a chance to have lifelong family ties or lifelong connections. And that's important around permanency for every child that is in our care. And so Adoption Month is like a celebration, as well as when a child gets adopted this month, we really hone in to just kind of, they did it. The goal is met. And so we really are happy for every child that is celebrating adoption for this month, the month of November.
Wow. Yeah. And I know that's a national movement, and courts all over the country open up their doors to finalize these adoptions.
Yes,
so
they are.
It's a big day. For our viewers that are watching, can you talk about the differences between being in foster care and being in adoptive care? Sure.
So foster care is when a child enters our care and they become wards of the state. They are either committed or under an order of temporary custody. They're in our care. So they are taken care of by foster parents, which may lead to relative care. But foster care basically is where children are in foster home. And then adoptive care is, or when a child is adopted, is like the final step. Where permanency has been achieved, even though permanency starts when a child first enters DCF's care anyway. The very first day, we're looking at what's the permanency plan, what's the goal, is it going to be reunification or transfer of guardianship or termination of parental rights. So permanency is important around when a child comes into our care and establishing what the goals are. But adoption is like the final step for lifelong connections for a child that was in our care.
And why is it so important for a child to have permanency? I know that we live and breathe this work, so we know what all those words mean and the importance, but for people who are watching, what would you say is important for our kids with lived experience to have permanency?
So it's absolutely important that every child feels connected, has a loving family, feels loved. We all want love. We all want to feel a part of a family. So when a child is adopted and it turns that piece where the permanency is established, it's important. It's important that a child that comes into our care is feeling comfortable, is the needs are being met. Every need is being met. And so we want to make sure as social workers and as workers for that child that we are there for that child. Every child needs someone. We're human beings and we all need someone. And we all connect with each other to make things work. And so being there for children in our care is important around moving forward.
Yeah, we recently had a guest on the show who was adopted. I think he was 25 years old.
Wow.
And it just showed in speaking to him, it just really made it clear and a deeper understanding of how important it is to have that, you know, it's a piece of paper. And he had already felt connected to this family, but how important it was to have that legal document that said that he was adopted at age 25.
Exactly. And I think it's important around a child who just having the needs met and that I have a family, somebody loves me, somebody cares about me. Everybody wants that. Love is a worldwide thing, and so we can't be singled out. So I watched a little bit of when he was speaking earlier, and it was really just uplifting and to listen to hear what he said and what it meant to him to be adopted.
Yeah, it's so important. For our viewers that are watching, what would be the first step if someone is watching and thinking, I may want to foster, I may want to be an adoptive resource, what would be the first step for them? What is the process like?
So the first step would be to call 1-800-KID-HERO. 1-800-KID-HERO. Basically, when a person calls that number, they'll be connected to KFAP. And they can ask all the questions that they need for guidance on what their steps will be.
Okay.
They would express their interest in what they would like to do, or whether it be foster care or adoption, or other avenues. All of their questions can be answered when they call that 1-800-KID-HERO number.
Okay. And by calling that number, would they be invited to an open house?
Yes, it would lead to where they would be informed about an open house in their area. And they would be provided with dates of the open house that they could attend and gather more information in regards to what their desires are to either be a foster parent or an adoptive parent.
Okay.
So
I know that with DCF, having been here as long as we have, you know, it's a different DCF than when we started.
Yes.
But the goal is always for our kids to go back home. But whenever that can't happen and the child can't return back home, we look for the adoptive resource. Does our department encourage foster parents to adopt our kids if that child can't go home?
Yes, so our department encourages all parents to look at permanency for every child that comes into our care. Adoption is the final step. And so we do have some foster parents who don't want to adopt, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Being there for the kid, on maybe the child on a temporary basis, that's good as well. So we listen to what their desires are, what they would like, but we also do encourage the permanency piece of it around adoption, and that a child could end up going back home to be reunified with their parents, or we may have a relative who may step up to for a transfer of guardianship. So we try to keep our foster parents knowledgeable about the process. Every foster parent does have a support worker that they can tap into with questions and ask about things that they're not sure about, or things that they're not comfortable on, or just gathering more information about the process. And maybe we've had families who change their mind. They come in maybe wanting to do one thing and maybe change their mind to do another. And so keeping them well informed is extremely, extremely important.
What is the training curriculum like for someone who takes that next step? They've gone to the open house and now they want to be trained to become a licensed family for one of our kids.
So the training consists of 11 sessions. Once a parent is connected to training, we have individuals, trainers who will present to them. They'll join the training sessions, and as they go through the training sessions, they will be educated about a child's background. For example, a child may be coming from, or more than likely a child is coming from a background of trauma, or maybe coming from a background of IPV, domestic violence, or maybe some other issues, substance abuse. So a lot of things come up in the training classes, each session. And also too, during those sessions, we have families who may come in and they may feel a little bit uneasy because of some of the topics that are talked about in the training sessions. Then we have our presenters who help to educate them further to make them feel a little bit more comfortable with what they are getting into. We have had families who maybe after a couple sessions or so, they may like, you know what, this is not for me, and I'm going to back out. And then we have families like, you know what, I want to go all the way with this. I'm determined to help a child in need. I'm determined, yes, this child may have the background that I'm learning about in regards to trauma, or the abuse that they sustained is very severe, but I'm determined to get to the end and license and care for a child who's in need. So we vary with that. But the sessions consist of 11 sessions, and the sessions are also open to weekends as well. We try to be very applicable to families who are not available during the weekday, and then the weekends would be best for them. So we do have sessions also on the weekend to apply to families. So
that's nice that there's that flexibility.
Yes.
So at the end of a training period of time, so they've completed the training. Now the next step is writing the study. What is an adoption study all about? Considering we're talking about adoption because it's Adoption Awareness Month, what is the adoption study?
Okay, so the adoption study consists of a home assessment. The adoption study is where it's a document that if anyone picks it up to read it, they're going to, like, wow, learn about that family, all about that family, who's in their household, what are their likes, what are their dislikes, what is their culture, what is their religion, what type of child would they like in their home. Would they prefer a child who's birthed to 3 years old, or would they prefer a child who is a teenager, maybe 12 to 18 years old? Would they prefer a child who is of a sibling set? Would they want to just adopt one child, or maybe a set of a sibling, or 3 or 4? So all of that would be outlined in the actual adoption study.
Okay.
And so basically when that study is read, it is something that, wow, I learned a lot about this family. It's going to speak to who the family is and what they want. We're going to be very clear on what they want after reading that study.
So it's really a story, an autobiography basically about the family. And so is that used, so let's talk about the matching process. So now a family is licensed, their home study is on file, you know, we've learned who they are. Now there's a child that needs a family. How is that match between a child and an adoptive resource made? Right,
so we have, it's called the Permanency Resource group in our central office, where we have a matcher that when a family study has been done and conducted, and they're then registered in our database to become an adoptive parent, that study is then teamed. It's called a teaming process, where a group of individuals from DCF will read the packet of that family. But first, let me back up a little bit to the child. We also have a summary of the child who's ready to be adopted.
Okay.
And we look at the need of the child who's ready to be adopted, and then we will get a couple packets, or packets that we see that is matching to the child. And so the team takes the packets, like it could be 1, 2, 3, or 4 or more, right? And they will review the packets, and maybe the top 3 put aside to say, you know what, this looks like this particular packet, this family is going to meet this child's needs. And then the team is held where all the packets of the families, prospective families, are reviewed at the team and then discussed as well. And the child is also reviewed in regards to the appropriate match being made. And that's basically how the team is done. And then once we establish, okay, yes, we feel that this particular family is going to really meet the needs of this particular child, we then send that back over to show we have a match. And then the family is connected with the child. We set it up through the support worker, that the child is then set up to meet the family. And then it's a step-by-step process through visits and then moving forward towards leading towards the actual adoption. There's several steps in between that I'm missing out here that leads towards the adoption. There's a legal risk home that I should talk about as well, that where once that child is freed for adoption and that family's actually ready to adopt is where they are ready to be connected with the child and moving towards a step towards the actual termination happening and then the child being ready to be adopted.
Okay. So just so that I'm clear and we can clarify it for the viewers, when a child is legally free for adoption, then that child can be adopted by the family chosen, but there might be some level of a legal risk if the child is not legally free.
Right.
And a family has to be willing to accept a child who has a legal risk, correct?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. A family should be educated and is educated by the support worker in regards to the legal risk. For example, they may come into this moving towards adoption, and then the biological family may have turned around their life, and through the court system is now being approved to reunify. Okay. And that may take a whole different direction, a different turn. So the family who was identified as the legal risk home has to be open that, okay, it's not going in the direction that I expected it to go, but now here it is, it's going where the child's going to go back home, and that is a permanency plan as well. Okay. And so, so it really depends.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And the more open a adoptive family is to the age and the gender and the culture of the child they're willing to accept, the less weight they may have, right?
Exactly, the less weight, absolutely, if they're open-minded towards that, absolutely, yeah.
So once a child is adopted by this family, what types of supports and benefits are offered to the family and to the child at the post-adoption? Right.
So for post-adoption, we have the AAP program, which is the assistant adoption program through the Yukon Health Center, that all our families have access to. Through that program, they're able to tap into resources through the community and other resources that they may be in need of. So that program is a very strong program that we work very closely with to assist and help our adoptive families in moving forward post-adoption. It's a really, really powerful program.
And then what about any benefits to the child, like college or subsidies?
Yes, thank you, yes. So subsidy is a piece where once the family has been approved for subsidized adoption, once that takes place, we have lovely technicians in our subsidy unit who process paperwork for things to move forward in that direction, connected them to Care for Kids, where the family may be eligible for DCF covering their daycare for up to 1 year, coverage for that. Also, the child may qualify for summer camp coverage as well. And then for children who are in need of one-on-one attention, the AAP program will step in to provide maybe counseling or one-on-one with the child for whatever the needs are at that particular time. So, there's an array of services there.
And then a child who becomes age to go to college, what is the benefit for college? I know that's a significant bonus for our kids to have that opportunity.
It really is. So we do have a consultant who right now oversees the post-adopt college program, that every child who is adopted, that they do qualify for this particular post-adopt college program. And once they're ready to go to college, we walk them through the application process in order for them to get their paperwork in on which school they were accepted to go to. And we pay for their college rate to go to college. And then on their end, the child would need to submit their grades each quarter. They would need to maintain contact with the consultant regarding any other needs, like, for example, I need a laptop. We help to pay their rent, some of those who need their rent to be paid. We give them a stipend to help to buy different things, maybe for food or for their needs being met. We give them a stipend. So there's many benefits for the actual post-adopt college program that our adopted children truly benefit from, and that we're there to cover their tuition for college. So there's no worry in regards to that their needs are being met in college.
So if any of our viewers are watching and they're thinking, I'd love to be an adoptive parent, but I never put away money to assist this child with college, there's a possibility that that's going to be taken care of for that child.
Absolutely. We step in and we cover the entire tuition for that child going to whichever college they selected. We cover their tuition for that. So
that's wonderful.
There's nothing to worry about in that end.
What a great opportunity.
It really is. It really is.
Talk to us about your faith-based recruitment efforts with the department.
So the faith-based recruitment efforts are where we right now we're working with several churches. There are two major churches from the south end and north end of the state. And under their umbrella, they have recruited many churches throughout the state of Connecticut who are within their own churches. They are recruiting families from the individual churches. So for example, a church may announce during their service or after service that the recruitment efforts that DCF is making to licensed families to learn about a child who's in need to be fostered or adopted. So the efforts are where we have open houses, we have presentations being done by our faith-based recruiter, our consultant also who is overseeing the program is working with the churches and liaisons in order to recruit families. So there's a lot in that area where we really want to pull in as many families as we can. Also under the Queen Esther umbrella, we are trying to recruit families for our Black and brown children in order to be there for them, or children who are in need and are waiting to be moving forward in that area. So
that's wonderful. It's a wonderful resource.
It really is.
We're running out of time, Marcia, but I wanted to be able to let the viewers know a little bit about the Heart Gallery. What is our Heart Gallery that we have at the department?
So our Heart Gallery, I would say, it's a wonderful program that the children who are in the Heart Gallery they have unique needs. Very challenging needs. For example, a child may have severe medical issues, may have a severe medical diagnosis, or may have a severe behavioral diagnosis. There are many out there that I can name, but I'm just saying severe as an umbrella to cover the different diagnoses out there. And so sometimes those children can be difficult to place. And so we want to reach families who have that special place to kind of reach out to these children and meet their needs. They're able to meet their unique needs of the child. And so the Heart Gallery covers children who have these unique issues, and they're going to need unique parents to care for them. So the Heart Gallery really promotes the children. And right now it's online. We used to have it at our central office where the pictures of every child was on the wall. Now it's online, and you see a picture of the child, and so we connect the child to the families in order to meet their needs and have all of their needs met.
It's one of my most fondest memories of being at GCF was helping to facilitate the Heart Gallery. And I know that it also reflects kids that are teenagers in sibling groups. So it's really the children who have come with these unique needs, whether it's medical or sibling groups, or if they're teenagers, because it's difficult to be a teenager anyway, let alone to be in our foster care system. I know Jordan's Furniture is a great partner, and they have the pictures online at their stores.
Excellent.
And they're real great partners here in Connecticut and also in Massachusetts as well. So for any of our viewers who are interested in Heart Gallery Kids, they can go onto our website
They can go
right?
onto our website, absolutely, and type in Heart Gallery, and it will come right up in regards to seeing the children, as well as what the next steps are. If they see a child that they feel that they can meet their needs, and stepping up to really reaching out to connecting with that child.
That's wonderful. So let's remind our viewers again, how many kids are being adopted possibly this Friday?
So this Friday, as of last Friday, we had a total of 38 were scheduled, and that number is going to climb as this week moves closer to this Friday, which is actually our National Adoption Day for our children. So we anticipate that it's going to be a wonderful day, with anxious children and anxious families who are ready to have that final step and that final, this is my child, adoption day. So,
Marcia, thank you so much for being here. It was wonderful to see you after so many years. It was a pleasure. Thank you for watching this segment of Doors to Hope and Healing. We celebrate National Adoption Day on Friday, the 22nd, and we're celebrating so many families that are going to be brought together on Friday. If you are interested in learning more about foster care and adoption in Connecticut, you can call 1-888-KID-HERO and speak to a trained representative who will share all the next steps that you need to take in order to learn more about our program. Thank you for watching.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden-Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.
I'm your host, Kurt Barwis. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Andrew Lim.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name is Chuck Wooden.
Decision for ourselves for this week, if we want to be made well.
Hi, welcome to the crack of dawn. It's Dawn Lombardi. I'm starting the painting. It's going to be the clips with some water. Love it.
He took me on the sets of Lost in Space, Batman.
Everybody has a story. What's yours? Until next time.